I'll say it as a fan and nothing else. Nick Sirianni using ChatGPT to help coach the Philadelphia Eagles this season is one of the most bizarre things I have heard in years. Coach Sirianni confirmed he is using the AI tool to find motivational material and track the team history as he tries to silence skeptics ahead of a high-stakes year. It shows just how much pressure he is under to prove he can lead this locker room back to the Super Bowl. And honestly, the more details come out, the harder it is to ignore what is going on behind the scenes. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop your name and city in the comments below. Let's get into it. Philadelphia Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni is turning to artificial intelligence to silence his skeptics during the 2026 season. After 5 years at the helm, Sirianni boasts a .94 winning percentage, a Super Bowl title, and an additional appearance in the NFC title game. Despite this impressive resume, a segment of the fan base remains unconvinced, creating an atmosphere of tension around the team. According to Zach Berman of The Athletic, Sirianni began using ChatGPT in June to find fresh motivational material for his players. He specifically sought out stories like that of wrestler Anthony Robles, who won a national championship despite being born with one leg. The truth is, the coach is also using the software to analyze the team's own history to keep things fresh. He believes that shared hardship and trust are the primary ingredients for building a championship locker room. While he acknowledges that he cannot control how fans feel, he refuses to waste time worrying about his public perception when there is a season to win. This news has hit our fan base in a complicated way, as some wonder if relying on a chatbot suggests a lack of authentic leadership. While Sirianni remains focused on building invisible progress, we have to ask ourselves what this truly signals about the state of our culture behind the scenes. If the coaching staff is turning to digital assistants for emotional inspiration, does it reveal a genuine attempt to innovate or a desperate search for answers in a high-pressure environment? This curiosity about his process naturally leads us to examine the specific roster decisions that might force Sirianni to truly lean on his experience rather than a database. Will his philosophy of playing for each other hold up once the regular season hits the gridiron? Or is the tension within the building already becoming too heavy to manage? Nick Sirianni is now turning to artificial intelligence to help secure his future in Philadelphia, a desperate move that signals just how much pressure the head coach feels as he faces an increasingly skeptical fan base. What makes this even bigger is that this reliance on digital tools comes at a time when his job security is tethered to a high winning percentage of .694 that has somehow failed to silence critics of his leadership style. Behind closed doors, owner Jeffrey Lurie likely expects that same standard of excellence to continue, especially since the team is not far removed from a championship victory. The core of the issue is whether these motivational prompts from software can truly replace the authentic connection required to lead a locker room through the grind of a long season. Historically, the Eagles have favored strong, traditional coaching personalities. Yet Sirianni is betting that adapting to modern technology might provide the edge needed to navigate this potential make-or-break year. His staff is likely viewing this transition as an exercise in efficiency, hoping to squeeze every bit of effort out of the roster by leaning on narratives like the resilience of Anthony Robles to inspire players who are constantly under the microscope. While he maintains he is not worried about outside opinion, the reality remains that a slow start would force management to make difficult decisions, potentially leading the coach to draft a resume rather than a game plan. We must consider that even with a Super Bowl title and an additional NFC title game appearance on his record, the current environment demands consistent daily progress that transcends simple metrics. The reality facing the Philadelphia Eagles this season is that patience in this city is wearing thin, regardless of past championships. Coach Nick Sirianni turning to artificial intelligence to find motivational stories might seem like a quirky experiment, but the stakes are fundamentally about survival in a brutal league. This is where it gets real because the locker room environment is currently under a microscope. If the players do not see visible progress from this technology-assisted leadership, the internal chemistry could fracture quickly. While this change does not alter the salary cap or our depth chart positions directly, it forces every man on the roster to commit to a shared vision of relentless effort. We must wonder if this new strategy will provide the edge we need when we face off against tough divisional opponents who are constantly retooling their own coaching staffs to catch us. Every single game now carries massive weight regarding playoff seeding, and any stumble against our NFC East rivals will only amplify the skepticism surrounding Sirianni. We are looking for consistency, not experiments. So the upcoming schedule will serve as the true litmus test for this approach. If the team fails to secure early victories, the noise from the stands will become deafening, putting Jeffrey Lurie in a position where he might have to make a very difficult decision about the future of our sideline leadership. We know that championships are won through trust and shared hardships, yet we are all tired of hearing about invisible progress when we demand tangible results on the field. If the season takes a turn for the worse, even the most advanced software in the world will not be enough to save a coaching staff that has lost the confidence of the Philadelphia faithful who expect nothing less than absolute greatness every single Sunday. Nick Sirianni is turning to modern technology in an attempt to keep his locker room focused, as reported by Zach Berman in The Athletic. The clear upside here is the pursuit of creative motivation. By using ChatGPT to synthesize stories like the inspiring career of Anthony Robles, Sirianni is attempting to bridge the gap between human experience and digital efficiency to foster a collective identity. This move shows a coach willing to evolve rather than rely on tired cliches. However, the downside is equally apparent to those of us who appreciate the traditional grit of the game. Using a chatbot to recall team history or craft messages feels like a cold substitute for the genuine, raw leadership that usually defines championship football. Let's be real, some fans and critics see this as a sign of a coach losing his grip on the locker room culture rather than enhancing it. While the Knicks and other franchises are mentioned as models for building trust through shared hardships, the reliance on an algorithm is a gamble that could backfire if the players sense a lack of authenticity. The way I see it, this experiment is a bit of a reach. While using tools to gather information is fine, building a team identity is a human endeavor that cannot be programmed. If the Eagles suffer a slow start, the fact that Sirianni spent his summer prompting a chatbot for inspiration will likely become a target for those already calling for his job. I am not fully sold that this is the solution to our mid-season malaise, as the pressure to perform is too high for experiments. We need consistent, hard-nosed results on the field, not clever digital prompts, because the only story that ultimately matters in Philadelphia is the one written in the win column by the end of the year. The future of this franchise rests on whether Nick Sirianni can turn these digital innovations into tangible success on the field. While turning to artificial intelligence to source motivation and review past achievements is a modern approach, the bigger picture for the Philadelphia Eagles remains centered on sustained excellence. With a .6 and 94 winning percentage, Sirianni has built a strong foundation, but the pressure to deliver another championship remains heavy. The next few seasons will define his legacy in Philadelphia, and if the team struggles, owner Jeffrey Lurie will certainly have some difficult decisions to make regarding the direction of the organization. As fans, we should feel cautiously optimistic but vigilant heading into this season. The coach is clearly putting in the work to foster a cohesive locker room through shared trust, and that is exactly what we need to see to bridge the gap between a good team and a great one. Here is where it gets interesting. Relying on technology to capture the spirit of champions is a creative experiment, but it is ultimately the performance on the gridiron that dictates job security. We must see if these new motivational tactics translate into victories during the critical early weeks of the schedule. If this strategy fails to produce results, Sirianni may find himself looking for a new job sooner than he anticipates. It is a bold gamble by a coach who understands that his window of opportunity is not infinite in this city. Do you believe that utilizing ChatGPT for motivational storytelling will genuinely help Nick Sirianni win more games this season? If you enjoyed the video, do not forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. Fly, Eagles, fly! I'll see you in the next one.